start with the opening statement from Coach Mark Kellogg and then open for questions.
Yeah, so not a ton of flow for us. I thought kind of foul trouble, tempo of the game. We just never found a great rhythm on either end. Obviously UCF was attacking and getting to the rim, and we weren't containing the basketball. A lot of fouls were called in this game, especially I thought against us. Not necessarily not saying one way or the other. We just got called for quite a few, which led to a ton of free throws for them, which in turn stops the clock, and so you can't find a lot of rhythm and flow to a game like this. But we knew that coming in. We knew they were a really good defensive team. We're going to provide a few challenges on that end, but I thought we responded once we got into foul trouble, just to have that 6-point lead at half. I thought we held our own there until we could get all the reinforcements back and play out of the foul trouble, and then really liked our third quarter. So that was as good as we've been coming out of halftime. So I got to challenge them a little bit and like their response coming out of the third quarter. That was by far our best quarter. And then didn't finish it great, but luckily had distanced ourselves enough. But we had a big lead Wednesday at Iowa State in the third quarter. I think we were up 19 at one point in the third quarter and let them come back and beat us. So maybe lesson learned a little bit, and hopefully we get better. Thought all in all it was pretty good. Stuck to the game plan. We're able to turn them over a little bit. They crushed us on the boards, but didn't lead to too many second chance points, which we were a little nervous that it might. So we'll see them again here in a couple weeks and get ready for that one.
Coach, coming in, UCF has been a second half team over the course of this season. What was your message to your team at the half, considering that they were within striking distance at that point?
Yeah, well, really, honestly, less of them and more of us was the focus. We just weren't playing, I didn't think, to the standard that we have for ourselves. And regardless of score, I always tell, there's a standard in which I expect them to play. And when we're not meeting it, I'm going to let you know that we're not meeting that standard. And we weren't. We weren't doing the things that I thought the scouting report said at times, and taking away things for some of their personnel that we wanted to take away. So it really was more of, come out, punch first philosophy. Didn't do that at Iowa State, so that's been the conversation for 2 days, and then we had another opportunity to talk about it again. And then when we got the lead in the third quarter, it was continued to talk and make sure we don't let them get back in it. And we thought it would either be they'd make threes or continue to get to the free throw line. The clock stops, they're getting points, and again, we just couldn't not foul to get that clock moving as quick as I would have liked.
What does it mean to you to still pick up the win despite the issues that you've been having, especially by this margin?
Yeah, well, I tell them all the time, road wins in any league, but especially in the Big 12, are gold. They are gold if you can go on the road and find a way to win, regardless of opponent, record, who you're playing, where you're playing. You got to find a win, if you want to do something really special at the end of the year with wins on the road. So we needed that one. Of course, we started 13-0 and had lost 2 in a row, so we hadn't been through that, and so we needed it. I know they do too. And they needed it too, so it was probably 2 teams that wanted this one pretty bad.
What have you learned about your group? You mentioned you started off 13-0, a couple of losses, a little adversity perhaps. What have you learned about your group now to this point?
Yeah, well, I still think we're a pretty good basketball team. We're finding different ways to win. We know, I think, what we are. I think we know at times what our weaknesses are, and so we're trying to play, obviously, to the strengths, and each opponent is just so different. Playing against Iowa State was a complete 180 than playing against UCF based on personnel, and so I think you have to be ready to win multiple ways. But I like my group. I like them as people. They're fun to go coach every day. They're easy to coach. Sometimes a little too flatline for me. I need them to come on. It's not okay. We need to change this. Let's have a little bit more passion about us and not care, because they definitely care. But we're only, 15 games? What we play now? 16? Whatever. 16 games into this tenure, with Mark Kellogg here. And we had 6 returners and 7 new ones. And we're trying to, so every time we go through and experience a game, we learn something. Sometimes good, and sometimes, like Iowa State, not so good. But I enjoy taking the floor with them and learning about them, so I can hopefully help them, as we keep going through this gauntlet of a Big 12 schedule. Coach,
UCF, a new team to the Big 12. What did you see out of the Knights that makes you think this team can compete in the Big 12?
Yeah, well, I think they have a chance to be really good defensively and are a top, 40 or something like that defensive team when we looked at it. They're elite on the defensive end. They can play you multiple ways. They can switch. They got length in the post. And I know they're missing the Kelly kid, which probably, hurt them a little bit on the inside. And they'll get better offensively as they learn each other. But, Peterson's a dynamic point guard. I think is it Icod, I think is how you say 11, and she didn't probably have a great night tonight, but that kid, she's got a chance with that length and that athleticism, and Jewett just kind of controls the whole game. So, I mean, there's some pieces there, without question. I think for all of us, it's continuing to build depth. I think that's what you kind of see right now. The elite level top, 10 teams in the country. It's not just their first 5, it's what they have, beyond that. And so for all of us, that are still trying to get there, I think it's just building depth. And I think that's probably what, I see with them and I see with us. And there's some similarities when you're in year 1 or year 2 in a program.
Yeah. Did the Knights do anything that surprised you today, or did they pretty much play as expected?
Just the ability to get to the rim a little bit more than what I was probably anticipating. We knew they were going to do that. Thought we had a game plan in place to prevent that, but obviously we didn't. So I know they come back in 2 weeks. They come to Morgantown, something like that. So we'll have to adjust that one a little bit just to keep them out of the paint and keep them off the free throw line, because that can't happen again, or we could get into some trouble.
Peterson has been putting on an elite offensive performance over the course of this season, but tonight you managed to keep her from scoring off the floor until right before halftime. So what was your kind of defensive mentality when it came to her today?
Yeah, just she had our full attention, is what I like to say, and so that was, of course, that's where the scouting report started. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. You can pull up their stats and go look at her line, and she just scored 35 the night before, so that's really quick. You can tell that that's who you need to go to. And so, we had a couple things for her just to try to limit touches. She's going to get points. She found 18 tonight. Now, I think to our kid's credit, she went 5 for 19, and so that's not very efficient. So, if you take 19 shots, you're probably going to find some points. If we could have kept her off the free throw line, I thought I would have felt even really good about that performance on her, but just to try to make her uncomfortable and limit some touches so she just can't find rhythm, because when she gets going, obviously she's pretty dynamic.
You held them under 30% from the field. I think you forced 26 turnovers against them. Did you feel that you kind of wear them down as the game was going on, as you pressed them and kind of forced those turnovers?
A little bit, but I think they had, I thought they had 17 turnovers at half or something like that. I could be off a little bit, but I thought it was somewhere close to that. So we didn't turn them over as much in the second half, but I think it can take its toll on you a little bit when you're just going against that pressure every single possession. But then also trying to take them out of their comfort zone in the half court a little bit. So, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing, with us, but we have been pretty fortunate to turn people over and get some steals and let that lead to some offense, and that's probably when we're at our best. And, when we distance it, I think that's what happened. We got some turnovers, led to some buckets, hit a couple threes, and then, they're calling timeout, and we got to extend it just a little bit.
Given how many points UCF was able to get off of the free throw line, the amount of fouls you were doing, what's kind of your message to the team to kind of improve on that going forward?
Yeah, well, to contain the basketball, when you can't contain it, obviously now you're chasing from behind, and then our poor bigs are standing there having to try to defend, athletic kids coming downhill, at full speed, and that's not an easy task. And, and we aren't the biggest team, so we need to keep that ball in front of us as much as we can. So that will be the challenge, as we move forward with them or any other team that plays, because I think UCF and Cincinnati play a little bit alike, and we play Cincinnati again here coming up pretty soon, so it'll be a similar game plan for us.
What's it been like for you now? Because I don't. Is this your first trip to Orlando? And if so, what's it been like for you coming down to Orlando?
Yeah, well, it's been good. We were in Ames, and it was I think 11 degrees. I think when we got off the plane the other day, and they were. Wow. I think the high Monday was like -7. The high was -7, so we were happy to get out. We stayed on the road. We didn't go back home, so we played Wednesday night and stayed in Ames again Wednesday night, and then we were perfectly fine with coming down to. I thought it was going to be sunny Florida, but I hadn't seen a lot of sun since I've been here. But the temperature, and I'm a Texas guy originally, so the humidity kind of actually felt kind of nice, and my lips aren't chapped. We've just been down here since then, and now the noon tip actually kind of helps a little bit, so we can get home tonight.
What does it take to succeed in the Big 12 in women's basketball?
Good question. I don't know. I hadn't been through it yet, so this is my first go at it. But again, I think you have to steal some games on the road and take care of business at home. But it's a gauntlet. We had played Texas and played hard there, and then your reward is to go to Ames, Iowa, where it's a really, really difficult to play, and then you get on a flight to come all the way down to Central Florida, and then go back home. So it's just going to be a grind. So I think consistency probably wins out. Right? Whoever can be the most consistent and find some road wins in a really difficult league to do that. But we have an unbalanced schedule too, so everybody's not playing everybody twice. So it's not quite all apples to apples, so to speak. So I don't know how that's going to shake out, but we're not playing everybody twice, so that will be a little different.
Thanks, everyone. Best of luck with the rest of the season.
Thanks,
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations on the win.
Okay, thank you all.